The Afghan commander had long observed the varied approaches of foreign military forces operating in his region. Over time, his reflections led him to note distinct differences in the behaviors and operational methods of soldiers from different nations. In particular, he found that the American soldiers consistently exhibited a range of qualities that, in his estimation, contributed positively to their overall effectiveness and their interactions with local communities. The American soldiers were notable for their blend of discipline and adaptability. Their training was evident not only in their precise tactical execution but also in their ability to assess complex, rapidly changing situations and adjust accordingly. In many instances, they demonstrated an openness to learning from local sources, adapting their strategies to suit the specific challenges presented by the terrain and cultural environment. This flexible approach allowed them to foster a sense of mutual respect and cooperation with local leaders and civilians alike. In contrast, the Russian soldiers, as observed by the commander, adhered to a more traditional military structure. Their operations were marked by strict adherence to established protocols and a rigid chain of command. While this method ensured a consistent and reliable execution of orders, a quality that was indispensable in structured military engagements, it sometimes resulted in a slower response to unexpected developments. The commander noted that this rigidity, while demonstrating strength and discipline, occasionally limited their ability to quickly adapt to the nuances of local circumstances. What set the American soldiers apart, in his view, was not simply their tactical flexibility but also their capacity for innovation. They approached challenges with a creative mindset, often finding novel solutions to logistical problems or unexpected obstacles. This inventive spirit was complemented by a respectful attitude toward the local way of life. In interactions with community members, American soldiers frequently displayed empathy and a willingness to understand the local context. Their readiness to engage in dialogue and to consider the perspectives of those living in the region contributed to an atmosphere of trust, a factor that proved to be as strategically important as any military maneuver. The commander also observed that the American soldiers appeared to integrate modern military strategies with an acute awareness of the human element in conflict. Their operations were not solely focused on achieving immediate tactical objectives. They also considered the longer-term impact on the local community. By combining security measures with efforts to promote stability and development, these soldiers managed to build alliances that often extended beyond the battlefield. In his assessment, this dual focus on tactical efficiency and community engagement underscored a broader commitment to a more balanced and sustainable approach to conflict resolution. While the Russian soldiers exhibited formidable discipline and a reliable adherence to their command structure, the commander found that their approach was sometimes less suited to the fluid and diverse conditions of the region. Their emphasis on uniformity and strict protocol, though effective in many scenarios, occasionally hampered rapid decision-making and adaptability in unpredictable situations. This difference in operational style was not presented as a matter of one being superior to the other. Rather, it reflected the distinct military doctrines and cultural legacies from which each group drew their strength. The American method, by contrast, seemed particularly adept at navigating the complex interplay between military necessity and the local social fabric. The commander recalled numerous instances where American soldiers, when faced with challenging terrain or ambiguous local dynamics, were able to leverage both modern technology and traditional field wisdom to secure their objectives. Their ability to integrate these elements effectively allowed them to respond to a wide range of scenarios with a balanced mix of firmness and understanding. In his broader reflections, the Afghan commander emphasized that the success of any military force in his region depended not solely on raw power or strict discipline, but on the capacity to blend tactical acumen with cultural sensitivity. The American soldiers, in his view, were well positioned in this regard. Their willingness to engage with local communities on a human level, to listen to local advice, and to adjust their operational tactics accordingly, set them apart as a force that was not only capable in combat but also respectful of the people whose lives were deeply affected by conflict. The differences in approach between the American and Russian soldiers could be seen as a reflection of their respective national military traditions. The American focus on individual initiative and adaptive problem-solving was balanced by a rigorous system of accountability and training that encouraged flexibility and innovation. In contrast, The Russian emphasis on centralized control and hierarchical order stemmed from a long-established military tradition that valued uniformity and resilience. The commander recognized that both approaches had their merits. Each was a product of a specific historical and cultural context. However, in the dynamic and often unpredictable environment of his region, the adaptability and inclusive nature of the American approach offered distinct advantages. In practical terms, the American soldiers' behavior translated into tangible benefits during interactions with local communities. Their respectful and empathetic conduct, whether during routine patrols or in more challenging circumstances, often helped to ease tensions and create a sense of partnership between military forces and the local populace. This positive engagement was not only beneficial for immediate security concerns, but also laid the groundwork for longer-term stability. The commander noted that in many cases, the willingness of American soldiers to bridge the gap between military operations and community well-being had a calming effect, contributing to a more cooperative and less confrontational atmosphere in the region. The commander's observations further highlighted that the evolving nature of modern military operations required an approach that went beyond conventional strategies. In a world where conflict often intersected with cultural, social, and political complexities, the ability to adapt was paramount. The American soldiers, with their proactive problem-solving and culturally aware strategies, exemplified this modern approach. Their actions demonstrated that military effectiveness was not solely a function of firepower or strict adherence to protocol, but also of understanding, adaptability, and a commitment to fostering positive relationships with local communities. In summary, the Afghan commander's reflections provide a thoughtful and measured perspective on the contrasting operational styles of American and Russian soldiers. While he acknowledged the strengths inherent in both approaches, discipline and order on one hand, flexibility and cultural sensitivity on the other, his observations underscored the particular advantages of the American method. Their readiness to blend tactical innovation with an empathetic engagement of local communities not only enhanced their operational effectiveness but also contributed to a more harmonious and sustainable environment in a region marked by complexity and change. Ultimately, his reflections serve as a reminder that the success of military endeavors in any region is closely linked to the ability of forces to adapt, listen, and integrate diverse perspectives. The American soldiers, through their respectful, innovative, and adaptive conduct, embodied a modern approach that acknowledged the importance of both security and community. Such insights, drawn from years of careful observation, offer valuable lessons on the evolving nature of military engagement in a world where the human dimension is as critical as the tactical one.